I think we are on time in appointment that doesn't exist from outside, inside, in the gallery. So thank you very much for coming here. And thank you, Nina, of course, the artist.
Thank you for having me.
And beautiful and very interesting, not only interesting, but like a triggering point exhibition that we are so glad, so happy to host in our place in Castello. And thank you so much for working like a curator of the exhibition and to all our friends here. And let me start thinking about Nina's artwork. I had a couple of quotes. One is the beginning is not so recent, it's by Hume in 1039, and the quote is, human minds are mirrors of each other because each reflects the emotions of the other, and because those rays of passion, feeling, and opinion reverberate by gradually and imperceptibly fading away. I think that sentence fits a lot in your artwork, and the other is much more recent, by Bernard Shaw. Is one uses a glass mirror to look at one's face, and one uses works of art to look at one's soul. So let me start giving you the silhouette of Castello 925 and why we are speaking about anti-psychoanalysis today. Also within that knowledge project that I love, is like a little baby for me. And what I can say is that I dwelt on the experience of the artistic fruition, and I'm trying to propose encounters like that one, in which we can deepen our research on it. This experience is based not only on constant mechanisms such as biological and neurophysiological ones, but also on variable mechanisms such as those related to early life experiences and the phenomena of the uncanny, much better in general. So regarding this, it can be framed with the primary mother-child aesthetic experience, or the encounter with the primary object. In fact, like the colleague Magarini says, in the moment of the viewer's encounter with the beauty of the artistic object and its appeal, the aesthetic object recalls and reactualizes the relationship with the primary object. This reflection is confirmed by studies of infant observation and other research within the clinic. Traces of this appear evident in numerous works of art, where also through the use of colors, light, traces of the sublime are ritualized, both in its meaning of something that emerges below the threshold and of unveiling. And at this point, I want to grasp the Heraclitus sentence when Heraclitus says, nature loves to hide. With the term uncanny, Magarini takes up the Freudian concept of the return of the repressed, which applied to the work of art tell us how it has the power to evoke in the viewer ancient and removed, forgotten personal events that is the unconscious represent. Under certain circumstances, the work of art can also reach places in the mind where very remote emotional experiences of our personal history are reposed, not yet represented, thus recorded but not encoded, not symbolized, which find symbolization in the work of art. Thus, there is the bringing into form of an emotional experience that had not yet achieved a symbolic image in the mind. A union takes place between a set of emotions without form, which take form precisely in the moment and thanks to the artistic enjoyment. Following this path gives the possibility of increasing personal growth and utilization of resources. It also gives the possibility of containing or reorganizing chaotic material and primal turbulence of our psyche. So, now, thinking about the encounter with Nina, I think was like for me a karst river, because it started in New York almost 10 or 12 years ago, and after that Nina invited me and Marcella to see the wonderful show in New York again, and after we start seeing each other in events. So there is also the different geography and through art in a way. A flow of something that appears and then seems to disappear. It is therefore a multi-dimensional aspect. We can use a term evoked by the title of Nina's exhibition, Ambivalences. At this point, as I told you before, I would like to make several distinctions about this term, ambiguity and ambivalence. This is why also, because I want to do that, because in Italian, ambiguità and ambivalenza is completely different. They cannot translate to the same meaning in English, because when you speak about ambiguity in Italy, ambiguità, you see, you give something back, something is not good. So it's completely different the meaning. And ambiguity and ambivalence are terms that are often confused, but they have distinct meanings. Ambiguity refers to the quality of being open to more than one interpretation. It describes something that is unclear, vague, or has multiple possible meanings, often used in the language, literature, communication, where a word, a phrase, a sentence, or situation can be understood in more than one way. Ambiguity is often used in context involving language, communication, and interpretation. There are so many examples, maybe later we can do that. Ambivalence refers to having a mix of contradictory feelings about something or someone. It involves simultaneous conflicting emotions. Commonly used in psychology, in psychoanalysis all the time, and everyday language to describe a person's state of mind when they feel torn between opposing emotion or desires. Ambivalence is used in context involving personal emotions and psychology. As a classic example is feeling both love and resentment towards a family member. The differences of ambiguity is about external interpretation and clarity, whereas ambivalence is about the internal emotional conflict. But what I would like to focus is that in both the two terms, we can have the idea and the possibility of widening the meaning, and also to take the risk to do that. A very good friend of mine wrote a book about that. The title is For Want of Ambiguity, Order and Chaos in Art, Psychoanalysis and Neuroscience, in which the authors investigate how the dialogue between psychoanalysis and neuroscience can shed light on the transformative capacity we derive from art. Art frees us from the constraints of the compulsion of comforting a priori meanings, and through the neuroscientific and psychoanalytic exploration of artworks, a new perspective has been offered on how insight can be achieved and how art opens us up to new ways of being. We must not forget that the human being is a synesthetic and a multisensory being at the same time. Every personal identity needs continuous negotiation and renegotiation throughout life. A certain amount of ambiguity, and now I can say also of ambivalence as well at the same time, therefore become indispensable to maintain and foster the fluidity necessary for the coexistence of multiple possible truths and to give space to creative moment to grasp what the colleague Bollas calls the unthought known. A creative moment that remains irreducible, but that participates in the effort to give shape to feeling, to find new ways of living, but also new ways of being in the world. In the book, there is a quote by Beckett that I love particularly, is being is what constantly putting forth into danger. And also, I read in your catalog, an object or concept is either in or out. And Nina says there is no longer an inside and an outside. Everything is constantly reshaping itself, or Nina says, in her words, the inside of the outside of the inside. And I love it. Once again, Nina says that through the mirror, audience is invited to reflect on its own perception. Whether it wants or not, it becomes a voyeur of itself. It becomes a platform for self-presentation. And your sentence made me make the association. My association is a photo of desire can only be blurred photo. It is a paradox that leaves room for a necessary incongruity. All this is described as a paradox of the epistemophilic quest for truth. I expect introspective epistemophilia is the projector of a quest to stop what cannot be stopped. So this is a little more I don't know, psychoanalytical, is the way in which Bion thinks about the two different ways of knowledge. One is he calls like K, the capital letter, and the other is O. K is the rational knowledge. O is like Kant, the thing itself, is the real one knowledge. And thinking about that, I think that too much emphasis to the K vertex, not balanced by the spontaneous and generative intervention of the O vertex, risks giving the relationship an epistemophilic, tendentially obsessive character, which in turn would bolster resistances. Nina, speaking about scales, says numerous possibilities for networking and interdisciplinary approach of artists, like an imaginary scale. Dream like quality and open up a second level of reality. And my question for later is, which kind of reality we are thinking about when you speak about the second level of reality? And is an uncanny moment, I think, familiar and unfamiliar in the meantime. This concept and experiences reflect the complexity of the human being and its difficult possibility of being represented. Situation which makes me associate with the Latin term. In Latin is ego sum, ego sum, with the phonically identical term sum, in the sense that each of us exists as the sum of diversity. And beyond this, it makes me think about the meaning of utopia. In its meaning of an unrealistic project, I favor that of a representative of an absence. Etymologically, it means non-place, or rather a non-place that becomes a pole of attraction. It is a form or use of the negative, which, as in Bion's consideration of the difference between nothing and no thing, makes a sense of presence implicit. This non-place comes to represent a path in which desire tends to push the boundaries. A utopia that playing with the homophonic eutopia, in Greek is EU, of the English language, can tend towards a benevolent place, a eutopos, in fact, and not only in concept. It therefore becomes important to rediscover the meaning of utopia, a utopia understood as a place for creativity and life, and to recover a vision of the future that becomes a vehicle that spans time, tracing dimensions that have ontological potential and involving values such as awareness and the greatest sense of responsibility. Utopia becomes a precious refuge in the expectation and participatory search for a possible future. Nina says, speaking about the semantically term of scapes, she says, I like the idea of fleeing. The term scapes as a non-locatable utopia and thus plays in the inauthenticity and of an ironic distance. The landscape you flee to or from because it always reflects you back onto yourself in the mirror, coming to the beginning of you. And I would like to conclude saying that what tools can we use to venture on this quest journey? Certainly, art and creativity in general provide a good compass, but we know that human beings were navigating long before the discovery of the compass. I like then to think of navigating by following the constellations and navigating by sight, a view more turned toward darkness rather than comforted by daylight. A nocturnal, emotional, pantheistic dreamlike joy, where the fragility of connections, their being ephemeral, is transformed into an active and a resilient interaction in what Nina defines as anti-fragile constellations. Thank you.